heating without fossil fuels is kind of how I define off the furnace. Why do wood? Sun's energy is free and unlimited. Wood and sun heat feels very natural. Radiant heat is more comfortable than convective. 75% of my line is wooded, and gas prices will doubtlessly soar. But since I was concerned about this and had lived in Minnesota long enough to know that winters can get pretty cold and long, 3 systems: passive solar design, a masonry stove, and solar radiant inflow heating. Also energy efficient windows with solar game, and then highly insulated and airtight. So passive solar design, you're probably all familiar with this, due south orientation. 60% of my window surface is on the south side. I have no windows on the north side. I have windows with a high solar heat gain coefficient, which are kind of a little bit difficult to find these days. So the heat needs to be stored somewhere, and it's stored in a 4-inch concrete slab poured on top of the basement, and then it's laid for on top. Distribution is basically then the radiation from thermal mass, and then control of the system, and sunny days it's on, and cloudy days it's off. And this is working beautiful. This winter I have not spent as much time in the house, so I've not been able to really see what passive solar does. I leave the house alone for a week with minus 20 degrees outside, and I come back to 58 degrees in the living room and 53 degrees upstairs, just from the passive solar. I'm just so sold on orientation of, I mean, that's the most important thing you can ever do. The house, with the sunshine coming in, you see the angle here, so you can really see how the sun comes in and really penetrates the house. And then the second is the masonry stove. So heat source, there's wood, the baking chamber. Once that gets up to about 350 degrees, it cools down over 24 hours, maybe 280. And then I just make another fire, and it gets the stove back up to a heat, and then it radiates out. So that's the heating system that gets me from this very nice baseline already, I mean, compared to traditional houses. And that gets me then up into that comfort range. The nice thing about these is they're not, you burn it as fast as possible, and thereby very hot, and thereby very clean. And because you want to, and you only have to attend to the fire for like 1.5 to 2 hours. Radiant inflow heating, running hot water in pipes through the floor. So here's my setup. I've got a 260-gallon storage tank that in this picture is not insulated, where the hot water is then stored, and then there's heat exchanger that take that heat and take it into the floor. The heat source for those are either the masonry stove, which has a built-in heat exchanger, and also the solar hot water panels that I now have on the roof. This is the manifold. I have 12 different zones with 12 different programmable thermostats, so that I have very, very minute control over where I want the heat and when I want it. So I can really optimally just heat those areas.